Dibris. So one Sheilos that became relevant, Baruch Hashem, to me recently is there such a thing? There's a covet for parents. Kibbud av v'em. Does it apply to a father-in-law and a mother-in-law? Based on the Welt Zok, what's the difference between the in-laws and the outlaws? The outlaws are wanted. So the shaila is a takas, which I think is kibbud av. So it's interesting. I was looking at this last night. It's Parsha, fascinating, because Yochanan says that there's a mitzvah, just like there's a mitzvah of kibbud av v'em, there's a mitzvah of kavod chami v'chamoisei. How do we learn it? So the Rishonim, it's a Sefer Laderech, it's a Medrash Tehillim, Medrash Sheichatoyv. So Medrash Tehillim says that we learn it from a story in Tanakh. You have the story printed out over here. You can read it later. It's just beautiful to read it the pasuk by pasuk. But then the point of the story, there's two stories. One story happens that David HaMelech is hiding from Shaul. Shaul takes 3,000 men, and that's it. We're going to find this guy, and we're going to kill him. Now, David is hiding with his men in a cave. So obviously their eyes are adjusted to what's going on in the cave. And Shaul doesn't know it's a cave. It's in the Midbar. It's an Ein Gedi. There's full of Ye'elim and full of caves, as was then, as is today. And he has to go to the bathroom. So he was very tznius, Shaul, and he goes into a cave and he sits down to the bathroom. So the people of David say, that's it. You got your guy. Here's the sword. Do what you need to do. So David comes close to Shaul, and instead of slicing off his head, he slices off the edge of his cloak. I'll just say tzitzis, okay. But he slices off the edge of his beged. When Shaul leaves, David stands at the top of the mountain, and he says, Avi, re'ei gam re'ei, es knaf mi'ilcha beyodi. Ki bechorti es knaf mi'ilcha v'lo yirakticha. Teido re'ei ki ein beyodi rov fesha v'lo yichatosila. V'tzata tzoides nafshti lakachta. He said, I don't understand. Look, I could have killed you in a second. Look, this is in my hand. So then he said the very important psukim kashayema marshal akademoinim ritzoyim yetzei resha. Don't chas v'shalom. You shouldn't have the blood on your hand. So, and he says, Acher mi yotza melech Yisrael, acher mi ataroidev, acher kelev meis, acher parush echad. You're the king. Who you're chasing after me? I'm the dog. I'm like a little fly. And David finishes speaking, and Vayomer Shaul hakoil chazabni David vayisa Shaul koile vayek, and Shaul cries, Vayomer el David tzadik ato, and he says, you know what? He says that and any normal person would have killed me. So he says, You're going to be the king. You think that the story's over? Oh no, it's not over.
Why was he running after him to begin with?
It was like he was possessed.
Yeah.
Chazal say,
Kina, right?
No, Kina, Pashtus. Chazal say that how did he know at that point that he's going to be a king? That he had the Masorah. There's a medrash. He said he had a Masorah b'yodai, that if someone is going to cut ever the edge of his tzitzis, that person is going to be the king. Shaul told him that it will be given l'reach hatoy v'meko. So now he knew for certain who's going to be the next king. That's what the medrash says. But the funny thing is that one Perek, this is in Perek Chavdalad. One Perek later, Perek Chavav, again, with 3,000 men, same story all over again. And this time, it's the middle of the night, and he's camping with 3,000 men, and David HaMelech climbs in with Avishai, and no one notices them. And the Shaul is in the middle of the camp, he's sleeping, with his spear right next to his head, and with the tzapeiches mayim, probably for negelvasa. So David takes both and quietly walks out of the camp. And Avishai says, "You're crazy! You're crazy! You're crazy! Kill him! Kill him!" And he says to him the same thing as he says to the men in the cave. He says, "This is Mashiach Hashem," and he says, "Chas v'shalom l'shloyach yodi boy ki Mashiach Hashem hu." He is Mashiach Hashem, and I'm not going to kill him. Meforshim say, so it's not sinister, that if I would say it, it would sound like a professor but Meforshim say that David HaMelech was a wise man. Besides that, it was Mashiach Hashem. He said that the Eibishter wants to kill him. The Eibishter is going to kill him. I'm not going to kill him. If he's going to die in war, he'll die in war. But I'm not going to kill Mashiach Hashem. But the Mefarshim say was that David Melech was a brilliant strategist. He knew that eventually, or he was hoping, or he knew that eventually he's going to be the king. What do you mean he was hoping? He knew. David told him. So he didn't want to set a precedent that a person kills a king. That's when the Maleki came with jubilation and told him that Shaul died. He went and he killed Amaleki. Everyone should know, it's not a joke to kill a king. You don't kill kings. In the history of the world, this is, that's the whole history. That's how the history books read. Vayimlach vayamas, vayimlach vayamas. He wanted to make a very strong point. It was kedai for him to suffer, and he suffered for many years after this. After that is when he went to the land of Plishtim. He suffered for some time after this, but he said, no, this is not a good precedent to set, that just because you have a grievance against the king, and now you could raise the sword, that you raise the sword. He's Mashiach Hashem. The Eibishter wants, the Eibishter will knows how to take away a person, but I'm not going to do it. Anyway, so it turns out it was a brilliant strategy, because David showed his people an example.
Yeah.
So now, at the second story, he's standing on the mountain and he screams out. He says, Avner, Avner! In the middle of the night, he says, you're a Ben Mavis. You deserve to be killed. You're not protecting your king. How is it that I have in my hand this spear and this Negelvasser Shissel? And then Shaul wakes up from the dream and he says the same words. He says, oh, he starts crying. He says, Akolcha Zabni David. And again, he's crying. And again, it's remarkable. And again, he says, don't worry, I'm not gonna. And he calls him every time Beni, and he cries. But after that, David says, this is unsafe. It's unsafe. It's unsafe.
It's like Paro. He keeps getting saved, and then he comes back and becomes his own. He comes back and cuts Shaul not the same way, but it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde.
Right. It's unbelievable. It's like. And then David HaMelech runs away from Eretz Yisrael. He just feels unsafe, and only comes back after the war that the Plishtim have against Shaul, and Shaul is killed. But the Medrash says that from here we learn a din, that because he says Re'ei Ovi Re'ei Gam Re'ei, this is here on Pasuk Yud Beis, Ovi Re'ei Gam Re'ei, my father. He calls him my father. So we learn that your father-in-law, you have to treat him like a father, the mitzvahs kibud of, just like your father. And the Tzedel Aderech, the Rishon writes the same thing with the mother-in-law. It's no difference of father-in-law and mother-in-law. So the emes is that in Shulchan Aruch there's a machloikis about this. So there's a appellate to me like this. Some of poskim say that the Medrash here has a machloikis when he said Ovi re'ei gam re'ei. It's a double language. So Parsha, it's Tanakh. Tanakh, it's an emotional story. He's screaming. He says, Father, Father, look, look. But Chazal always look at every word. So it's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda said, Avi re'ei, Gam re'ei. Avi re'ei is talking to Shaul. Gam re'ei was to Avner. The Medrash also says,
Use the lashon me'ilcha, your meal. Why would he say that to Avner me'ilcha?
So I guess because Chazal always darish from Psukim Yetura. I mean, in Pshut Shemikra it doesn't flow.
He's talking to both of them.
Yeah, he's talking to both of them, and then but the Chachamim say no. Ovi re'ei, he was talking to Avner. Gam re'ei, he was talking to Shaul, which actually Yosef answers your Sheilos a little more, because then it flows a little better. He says Ovi re'ei, he was talking to Avner, which was his Rebbe, and he was his Aviv B'Chochma, and he said Gam re'ei, he turned to Shaul. Gam re'ei is knaf milcha b'yodi. So some of Farshim say it's a machloikis, according to the opinion that Avi re'ei was good talking to Avner. We don't have a source that you have to have kibbud of to your father-in-law. But according to the Rabbi Yehuda, that Avi re'ei was to Shaul, then you have to give. And there's all since a machloikis Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda says Avidei is to Shaul, the Chacham say Avidei is to Avner. The Halacha is like Chacham, that you don't have to give cover to your father-in-law. The Gra, which is a pellet to me, the Gra in Shulchan Aruch says, Machlokes is only in the Pshat of the Pasuk. But the everyone's masking the dinner that you have to have. It sounds like a sort of so not Groish, or so not Lomdish. It sounds so not Yeshivish, no?
Why would you want it to be a mensch?
No,
Why would you have to have a covenant? What kind of mitzvah exists?
The Tzeres Adibra says, and from the Tanakh we learn that the same covenant applies to your father-in-law, mother-in-law.
Why would they call you father? Why would you call him father?
Father-in-law.
Okay, but they still have to first with his father.
That's what, and
in-law means Halacha. That's what it means in English.
Oh yeah?
yeah. So
that's an American law, but I don't know what in English.
the Torah law, the Gra holds.
What's the notion? My father. Right, but he calls him father.
He calls him father. He says Avi.
This is the marker.
Yeah, this is the marker. He calls his father-in-law my father.
We also have Elisha called the Eliyahu, Avi.
So a Rebbe could always be called Avi, but the Chidush
Shaul
is
wasn't David's Rebbe,
no, Avner was his Rebbe.
and Avner was Shaul's general.
Right, Avner was his Rebbe.
So did he eventually become David's general too?
No, because Yoav killed him. That's why David was very upset about it. If Yoav hadn't killed Avner, it would have been like this unbelievable shalom. David had in his mind that he would take Avner to be the general, and Yoav couldn't fathom that. This was your enemy. He was going to kill you.
He was David's bodyguard.
Right.
He didn't want a competition.
So, but David was very upset about that. That's why he gave a klola to Yoav because. But in David's mind, he was going to make a perfect shalom because he was going to take Yoav, who was Avner. He was going to take Avner, who was his biggest enemy, and turn him into his general.
Like wouldn't have been a chiddush by Yonason, who was Shaul's son, because he always loved David.
Right.
But now that he goes in, he needs to get an oyev to become his.
Right. He was going to take the arch enemy. He was going to take his arch enemy, and he was going to make him into his general.
This is the same Shaul that said Ben Na'avat Amardud, and he cursed David before with Jonathan.
Yeah.
It's the same Shaul.
The same show. It's like
his daughter, Abigail. What was Shaul's daughter's name? Michal.
Michal. Yeah. So Michal, he was son-in-law. So, anyway, that's so. The Gra says that there's no. Don't tell me it's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Chacham. Machlokes is the pshat in the pasuk. But al pitin, you have to. The truth is, in both stories, Shaul keeps on calling him my son. So, and there's no dispute about that. So, anyway, I'm just telling you what the Gra holds. Lamaisa, the din is that there's really it comes out to machlokes. The Taz and the Shach. The Shach says here. Look in the second paragraph. Let's read it inside. Shulchan Aruch Pasuk Chayav Adam b'Chavit Chomev. A person is chayav to give respect to his father-in-law. U'makoydim imedrash Tehillim Shoichet Tov Mizmor Zayin. V'sham yesh machlokes Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan im Avi koy al Avner Shaul. If Avi is going on Avner or on Shaul, said l'chayda halacha is like the Rabbanan. Avi koy al Avner. L'chayda halacha k'Rabbanim because they Rabbim ninu. But the Gra answers that l'maisa le'pligi l'dina. The Shach writes v'kosav abach dahainu shesomchem b'miktsas l'kibud v'chayev l'chavdu k'meshor zakenim chashuvim. The Shach paskins like the Bach. It doesn't mean you mamish. It means menschlichkeit. Menschlichkeit that you have to. But the Taz, where it says no, he holds it's kibud of Sherei Kosav. He wrote the Ksiv Avi because of Moiri v'Chami Hu Adin Chamosai v'Ken Kosav Tzeder Laderech. And the Rabbi Ekev is Metzayin. It's an interesting din of Shulchan Aruch. Kol mi shevesabel lav mesabel imay. Any person that's sitting in Avelis, if you would sit, if they were missing, you have to sit with them. It's like a crazy din. We don't do it today. Why? Because then people would be sitting, like, they're going to have a whole job if you have to do that. If his wife is sitting Avelis, he doesn't have to. If she would Chaz v'Shalom pass away, he would have to sit Avelis for his wife. If she sits Avelis, he doesn't. For her sister, you don't have to sit with her. However, if she loses her father or mother, you have to sit with her. However, the Ramot says there that Bizman Hazeh we're moichel. Bisman Hazeh we don't do it. We're moichel.
You have to do the piyut to sit with her.
Everything. We don't do it Bisman Hazeh because we're moichel. Because every wife is moichel to the husband, and every husband is moichel to the wife.
Well, otherwise you'd have to.
Otherwise, you'd be chayiv to sit shiva for your father-in-law or mother-in-law.
Wow.
Elamai, the Rambam says that we're moichel. So it's a little bit of Rabbi Akiva Kedarka doesn't like. So he's not. So what is he trying to bring out of here? On the one hand, so the din really is that you're chayiv to sit shiva for your father-in-law or mother-in-law. On the other hand, your wife can be moichel. So
Halacha wise, yes, but you can wait.
yeah. So the halacha is that you're chayiv to sit shiva for your father-in-law or mother-in-law. Bisman is that we're all noyek. The person can't say, "Oh, I'm now going to sit." A person could. Shach says a person wants to be crazy and to do it, he can do it, but he's not chayiv to do it. Right. So miltzah the tmiyah. I mean, l'poil, we're moichel to each other because it makes sense to do it. The husband wants that his wife should be free when he's sitting shiva, and she wants he should be
And
free.
she would insist to sit shiva, and he would have to sit shiva.
I don't know. I think today maybe it's a botla daita, it's a kolodom. You know, she can't be crazy. We're ready. The Klal Yisrael was moichel to each other. I don't know if it's shaykh that one person would say I'm not moichel.
But Sricha, what about in the case that let's say somebody's wife she passed away, is alive, and the in-laws, let's say the in-laws passed away, and there is nobody, let's say he doesn't have any brothers-in-law to say Kaddish for him. Is he supposed to sit for him, Shiva? That's in the case he has nobody. The
Right.
father-in-law. But
Right. It's a good question. It's a good question. For sure, if he does it, it's a big mitzvah. I don't think it would be chayiv. Once his wife passed away, it all fell apart.
What if covered for his grandparents-in-law?
It's a good question. It's a good question because also.
Yeah, today.
It's the same,
Well, a little bit, actually.
but it's a good question. I don't know because the Bechlal, but grandparents, your machuyev, the poskim say it's at the end of Semeresh Mem that they bring a raya from a pasuk, Meforeshes, by Yizvach Zochim L'Lakei Aviv Yitzchak. But he said first I'm going to beg a zeva but then for Avram. But Rashi says from here we learned that you're chayiv first to give covet to your father and then your grandfather. But Mechayiv min Torah, you have to give covet to your grandfather. Elamai, your father comes first. So the shaila is if it's a good shaila. It's a good shaila.
We just I mean the in-laws.
In other words, your father-in-law's father. You're
Right,
asking.
right.
So your father, you're chayiv to mechavid him, and then you're chayiv to mechavid his father.
Your father-in-law, you mean. Your father.
So you're saying your father-in-law, you're asking the same shaila. You're saying just like by your father, you're mechuyev to mechavid him, but you're also
Right.
mechuyev to mechavid his father.
Right.
It's a good shaila. It's a good shaila. For sure, loyta deya that holds that it's only menschlichkeit. You can, but according to the day, the mamish, the Torah is machadish. That your father-in-law is like your father, so I think it's a very good shaila. I don't know. Yeah, Shmulik.
In the Rambam, we just said Avedis Rabo and Avedis Aviv, and then Avedis
Right.
Aviv and Aviv.
Right. So you see, Aviv Aviv is also chayiv. Right. You see that Aviv Aviv. Yeah, most places can agree that Aviv Aviv is. They say it's like a pella. How could you say otherwise? There are a few Rishonim that say not. They say, well, it doesn't make sense. How could you say that?
That's why we changed it.
Okay, next shaila. Someone asked a shaila like this. He was in shul and he needed to put on a gartel to daven, and he didn't have a gartel. And he sees earphones on a table. So he picked up the earphones. Why not? It's a long string. It's long enough.
One black
It's long enough. And daven. Now was
The one that you put in the ear.
yeah, the one they put in the ear.
No,
So I had,
the one that put in the ear, you don't have wire.
oh no, with the wire. It was with the wire.
Did he have permission to put
You
that?
can't have a wireless gartel. A wireless gartel doesn't work. You need a wire for the
Did he
gartel.
have rishus to put this garden on?
Oh, so now was inside with the shaila. Number one, he didn't have rishus to take it. So, was it wrong to pick it up and take it? The second one, since he already picked it up, does he have the mitzvah of a shavas aved? There's chal, a chalois of a mitzvah of a shavas aved. That was the two questions. Huh? What, to be shavas aved? Oh, the guy, no, why does it have to be a bag? As long as it's a string.
Is that shovs a Veda?
Huh? So why does it have to be baguette string? I don't know. The Gemara says that you have to.
Synthetic is the same thing as.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
especially since.
Can't put tzitz is synthetic.
No, but here is something
Stores
else.
still sell.
Here.
To me,
They have
there's stores that still sell synthetic.
Oh yeah. And mostly, but a wire. Mainly it's mainly it's that the heart shouldn't see the erba. We say that even though we have underwear that have as elastic and but the Gemara brings that there's a davar choshuv hochin likrasa lekech Yisrael. The Gemara brings in Shabbos daf Yud. So
Well, now you're supposed to make a special one.
right, that's a special thing. Anyway, but that was the mice.
But
Anyway,
we have actually three really: the underwear, the belt, and your pants.
right. We have three things that, but still, the Shulchan Aruch says that a person should put on lekavod tefillah extra gadol. It's mashma that way from the Gemara. Alter Rebbe says v'zman hazeh that people don't. It's not the regular thing when you stand in front of a king to wear a gadol. That you don't have to put on a gadol. The funny thing is that Mishnah Berurah says that a Shemaim, Midas Chassidus is to be medactic to wear a gadol. Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it in Shulchan Aruch. The Mishnah Berurah
Because you know
says.
you have a tzitzis on your bindle, on your tzitzis bindle.
I think because Alter Rebbe wrote a Shulchan Aruch. He wrote a Shulchan Aruch, right. But for some, it's funny. Look at the Mishnah Berurah. Simon Tzadik Aleph. The Mishnah Berurah says that Midas Chassidus is to wear a gadol. And so it's funny because we always associate that gadol as a minig Chassidim. So Taka, the Mishnah Berurah says minig Chassidus, but the emphasis. I was looking last night. Were Groisen Gedolim Litvakas that wore gadlach.
No, initially they don't. They have a siddur, but they don't wear a gadol.
I'm saying, but the what's it called? The Stipler used to wear gadol. The Stipler was.
Well, there was some Chassidish at home.
But I don't know if
He wore
he wore
Shreimel too. During Shalosh Shus, he wore Shreimel.
I was reading last night and that he was medayik for every tefillah. He wore a gadol. I'm not sure if it was in the sefer that I read. They made it sound that he held that that's a din of the Gemara, not because. No. I understand. I saw it's a chochma some sefer. I don't know who it was. It's Einikel or something. Wrote it
That's a
on.
question.
Yeah.
Isn't there? First of all, there's a chakira in your original question. The shows of it only is chal if he wasn't allowed to wear the garment. Those if the person is moichel, he's maskim, so you're borrowing it from him. If you're not allowed to borrow from him, then do you become a shayim?
Right. No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure.
But,
that joint in.
Yeah, for sure. If you would say that a person has the reshus to take it, then why would it
He's
be?
a shoyel. He's a shoyel.
Yeah, he's a shoyel. Why not?
If he returns it,
He returns it. He puts it back in its place. So if we'd say that it's also to take it, now that he took it, does he have to do the mitzvah of Shavas Aveda? So let's read it inside.
Yosef had the gadol, I remember.
no, 175.
I put the number.
You did the number right. No, but we did it over time. They wrote
Oh, God.
No God like left.
He gave me to put Hegdesh in the word Hegdesh.
So people, when they would take their gardens off,
You remember?
they remember putting it back.
People
You lost
just...
100 gardens.
I
I hope so. I hope there's 100 gardens around.
Just keep filling it. You don't realize.
Gardlach are like socks. I'm sorry to interrupt the shit. They're like socks. You lose gardlach as almost as
You don't know where they go.
You don't know.
Who is taking all the
Socks.
God all the socks?
Yeah. My wife said she thinks it's going through the chute. I said, show me the chute. I said, the tree behind the chute has much left. She looked like a sock tree.
Someone has bags and bags of it.
Mexican all the 3 pairs of socks, 4 pairs of
And
socks.
even the ones that you want to match, so you have. I can't even find those 2 piles. The ones that I don't want, I have like 3 piles of matching.
3 pairs, 4 pairs I have.
Maybe we should make gardlach out of socks.
The odd socks, all the odd socks you put them together.
Make gardlach out of it.
Would be beautiful colors. White, blue, red.
According to your suit, the Gemara says that it's. We'll read it inside.
It's not universal.
No, because the Gemara says today it's not the style. It used to be the style. You stand in front of a king, put on a belt. It's not the style today, but because the Gemara says it, so the Mishnah Berurah says a chosid should put on a gartel. Okay, Shaila. Mishaila gartel mishtamish im earphones. Shemotze bebeis hamedrash. Tshuva. Look in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Siman Yudalet. Alter Rebbe says, "Mutar lisata betala shel chaveri shel medaite ve'enik shel medaz nikra gazel." You're not called a gazel if you use someone's talis. Why? Even they're like a hochach shash kilu karna. there's no chash that the talis is going to get ruined. Shein misato ba'elu b'sham zira loy. Achikach v'neichel loy le'ina sheyasa mitzvah b'mamoyna b'makam shein shem chisaron giz. That the people, we have a klal that we say that for sure a person is happy that someone should use his money if there's no chisaron giz.
But here it's a little different because you're making the earphones in a way in a shtamsh that it wasn't made for. So you can tie yourself with the earphone. The last piece, you need to put the earplug like this so that it stays on you.
I hear.
The headphone become Tashmish Kedusha after that?
No, because it's not his. You can't designate someone else's stuff for kedusha. In other words, a gadol anyway is not. Although I must say, in that sefer, it's a beged tefillah. You can go to the bathroom with it, a beged tefillah, and in that sefer that I saw, they say that the stipler, when he used to send away Shemus, he used to put in his gadol. The old gadol, he didn't want to throw it out. It's a beged tefillah, so he used to put it in Shemus.
But you're not allowed to go to the bathroom with it?
Yeah, because it's a beged tefillah. Anything. So it has a chashivas of a beged tefillah. It doesn't have a
Go into the Hasidic shuls, they take off their hats too before they go into the bathroom.
Yeah, they call it a beged tefillah.
Right.
Yeah, they're afraid of fall down.
No, they're not afraid to fall down.
It's a beged they
They have a special hat section.
They
take off their hats.
Wow. Okay.
With the shine for sure.
I bring in my hat because I never heard such a thing.
Right, but
Because
because
we have it for both the shtamshas.
Right, we don't have it as a beged tefillah. It's a special.
Shine, they for sure take it off.
So let's continue. The Alter Rebbe says in Siman Tzadik Aleph, Tzorich leizer eizer b'shas hatfila, afilu yesh le'avnei, she'en li b'royes erva. Even though usually you need to have separation, the heart shouldn't see the erva. But even if he already has wearing a pair of pants and a belt and an elastic on the underwear, it doesn't matter. If you walk around all day without a belt, it's not in this society. A big gartel doesn't mean anything.
Overalls, you remove.
Exactly, he wears overalls. Ain't tzarich leizer b'shas hatfila. But Mishnah Berurah says that it's a midas chassidus. Okay. So anyway, it's a shayla. I mean, the pashtus, a person would be happy to just use the earphones, but you could argue that now
Maybe he doesn't want them used.
that he doesn't want them used. You could argue.
By the way, the cheap. When you told me the thing about being cheap, because they're not something, that's good for maybe why he wouldn't want them to be used as
Okay, ruined.
because they're more prone to get ruined.
Right. Yeah, you could argue.
Just saying.
You could argue. It has to be.
That was my problem. I was very impetuous. I used this gargle. I felt bad after so I asked the rope.
So that's
There's a lot muscle, no?
so that's
Well, I was
the,
saying, if it wouldn't have been
If you didn't tell-
if it wouldn't have been a cheap earphones, I wouldn't have bothered me. But I was starting to use the earphone to keep it in. I made that connection because it was a very tight thing, so I put the earpiece inside to keep it there. Saying,
good.
what am I doing?
Now it made it-
Yeah, I made it elevate because I'm probably not. But the thing is, I started hearing voices in the middle of Shemon Esrei.
That's music.
I didn't tell the Rav that. I don't know.
no. You heard voices.
Well, the guy's earphones, it was the echo from the guy's song. I'm kidding.
So, Hayois Taka, someone could argue. So, let's go to the second shaila, which is, so now the person now is holding in his hand, and the question is about Shavas Aveda. So, it's interesting shaila, actually, because look in the Rambam. Here, I'm just quoting the Rambam. We'll talk about it first. Let's just read it inside. V'cheni motza behema v'kisha. Okay, so let me go back and drop. The Rambam says that there's a din that you have to do Hoshev Teshivim, you have to return an Aveda. However, there's a concept of Zokem Eina Levichvoidai. It's not Lefi is covered, so he doesn't have to do the Shavas Aveda. Now, but what if he already picked up an Aveda? L'moshel, the previous halacha is he's in the field, and over there he would pick up a sheep. But in the city, he wouldn't pick up even his own. He wouldn't pick up. He's potter, but since he already picked it up, so now he's chayiv to return it to the owners. Once you have it in your hand, you have the mitzvah of Shavas Aveda. You can't say, "Oh, now it's not my covet."
He has chazaka.
Now you're chayiv to do the mitzvah till the end. Doesn't matter.
But if you see something, actually thing involved with the mitzvah,
I don't want to be involved. If it was my own, I wouldn't pick it up. If it was my own, that's the litmus test. If it was your own, you wouldn't pick it up. If it's someone else's, you don't have to pick it up.
But if you did pick it up, you have to get
Once you pick it up, that's it. You're
That's
chayiv.
because it's a moving. What if it's a stationary? Is there a difference between a stationary van and a moving?
There is, exactly. This is what I want to talk about. So the Rambam says, V'chein. because the Rambam is talking about an animal. He matza behema v'ikisha. He found the behema and he pinched it, he hit it. In other words, to get it to walk. That's how you get a behema to walk. Nischayev l'tapel bo is chayev to take care of it, l'achzira to return even though it's not his covet. Sherehitzchel b'mitzvah because he already started the mitzvah. Ichzira returned it. Ubarche ran away. Afilu mei apam chayev l'achzir. He has to shenem ha'ashiv to shiv him ha'ashiv. Afilu mei apam even 100 times. Mashmo l'oilam u'chayev l'tapel bo has to take care. Sheziren l'shuz bala until it comes back to the shuz of the Bible. L'makam mishtamar at the place where it's guarded. L'ozira l'makam shenem mishtamar. If he puts it in a place that's not guarded, you go and give a churva v'avda and it gets lost. It's chayev b'achrus. It's chayev nachrais. So. Bottom line is like this. So
we don't know how to hold today, babe. We don't know how to hold it.
No, but even then they didn't hold the behemoth. They used to give him gave it
a little kseh or a little ketzel they would carry.
Yeah, if it was a little animal, maybe they'd pick it up. A bigger animal, they would. So the Gemara says a story. Rabbi said that Abaya was sitting in front of Rabbi. He said, "The potter, if it's not your covet." Punkt then there was a goat walking by. It was an aveda, and Abaya sort of shoot it away. He said, "Oh, now you have to return it. Now you have to return it because he already did your hikisha." So Rashi says because it was already betoides. You started betoides hashovan. The Ritva thinks that Rashi held that it doesn't matter about an animal. Anything that you pick up at Toiras Yishavan, you're chayiv. It doesn't matter if it's an animal or not. And he says it's a pellet to me because the Gemara says elsewhere in Bava Kama that when you have a Veda, you're chayiv to return, but you're like a Shem Mechinam. But if it's an animal, then you're like a Shem Masocha. Because now that you picked it up, this cow or this goat is now confused. Say it was walking, so it knows. Oh, it goes back, it goes around the block. You picked it up and you walked a half a block. Now it's all confused. Now it's now. So now because you confused it, it's like all new things in its head. You ruined the whole GPS system. Everything has been shut down now. It's for this poor little animal. So now you have chayiv to bring it back, and you're like a shem masocha. So. No, if you have it,
what's schar again? What's this schar?
No, that level. No, he doesn't get schar.
No, I'm not saying he gets schar. Why do they call him Shom Masarah?
No, he's chayiv to never aveda. If he didn't return it yet,
Shom Masarah is putter getting aveda. Oh, he's getting paid. You're right. It's the worst shmira.
Right, because since he already picked it up, he has to be he can't go to sleep. He can't put it in his backyard. Yeah, but if you didn't pick it up, maybe this animal would have walked back. But now that you picked it up, now this animal is old. That's what the Gemara says. Now your animal, you made this animal, you messed up with it.
Even though you're helping the balabas.
Yeah, doesn't matter. That's a. Amar Rabbi, Kisha Chayev, Amar Abaya have Yosef Kamed Rava Chazad Anach Easy, the Shakaim Mishakol Kolav Shodabo Amar Le Chavta Bekumadrinu, you chayev to return it. But now Rashi says that Kisha Koachas La Shiva Nischayev. Now that you picked that you wanted to do the mitzvah Shavan, but the others say, what do you mean that this is we have another Gemara. The Gemara says that it has to do with Balei Chaim. The Gemara says Bava Kama. Omar loy Medina loch Balei Chaim. Given the noket law by Balei Chaim, the noket law nigra braisa boyne terusi yeseda. Now that you played around with it, it needs a special shmida. I'm just going to read now from the translation here. Given the nokel nidri yeseda shekvar lokho atzman sodim zorim shem yoytzem mimaslol hadrachim harogel shalem. So, boy, in the Terusi Yisrael, you need to have an extra shmida.
It's a pellet, because the chayre was already in the bulbul, otherwise he would have gone home.
I know.
It was lost.
Yeah, but that's
it's not like a dog. They say dogs can go thousands of miles and find the house, or certain, and the birds.
The squirrels.
I think they do it. But there's no stories like that by cows.
I know.
It's showing the Torah,
right.
Oh, that's right, the squirrels and the raccoons.
Right, so remember when we had this problem with the squirrels here, we're still
It's unbelievable. The old houses, they love the old houses.
I know
Yeah.
similar share like this. When you go to the country in a way, if you see people in the flat or something, and I must stop.
I am a quiz to stop. Similar thing.
Unless most of the time it's
Well,
stop in
what's
dangerous
the-
places though.
There's your chayiv. So
It's not
if
a
a
pull over. If they call it,
You're chayiv to stop.
no, I remember
Stop.
see
someone
No, I didn't say
stranded on the highway.
Yeah. If you see someone stranded, no, it's a Jewish person.
At least they're protected.
So you mean
There's a lot of people.
the right thing to do is pass
One guy on the
No, I mean, it's not that you're not loy tamid al davar yacha. You could help your friend. You have to. But the shayla is it safe for you to pull over? Could you help them? Whatever.
And also understand how much
the murder story.
Okay, so let's wrap it up.
Rebbe.
So, bottom line is that the Meforshim and the Rambam say there's no machlokes Rashi and Rambam. Really, Rashi and the Rambam go together very well. There's two tanoim. It has to be a behema, and it has to be that you took it b'toidas shava. You picked it up because you wanted to do the mitzvah of a Shabbos Aveda. Not that you thought it's yours. You thought, oh, it's your goat. You started walking home. So, oh, it's not my goat. You picked it up b'toidas Shabbos Aveda, and also it's an animal. But if it's chosa, these two, and that's the way they read it in the Rambam. Imotzav behema, vikisha, has to be dafka behema. So then, once you're ready, you hit it, you picked it up, or you banged it. So because you already did it al das mitzvah. But if it's chosa, these two tanoim, then
You're not a shame.
then you're nothing. You're nothing. You didn't start the mitzvah of a Shabbos Aveda.
No, it's not an Aveda because you know the way to put it back.
Small sheep.
Huh?
It's not a Shabbos Aveda because you have to put it back. The question is if you become now a new shomer, like with the animal, that you can't put it back.
Right.
We
So-
say here you have to put it back.
Yeah, you're not like it's not like an animal, which you have to make sure you bring it back. If you see it there, you can put it back in the place.
Small sheep or a goat that gets entangled in the bushes, can't get out. You pick it up. It needs a goshen.
Yeah. If you see a little, now you have to
Maybe
bring
you
it
just want
back.
to take it out of the bushes. Maybe you don't want to be the luxury.
But now you did it in the midst of a Shabbos Aveda, and
What if
you're
you're in a
chayav.
place where
Pashtus.
what if there's no simon and you're a mokum? Most of the pets are owned by goyim.
Oh, it's any place where Roiv Goyim,
You don't have to. No.
then there's no mitzvah of Shabbos Aveda.
Okay, let me
Unless
ask
you
you
know
another
for sure it's a Jewish Aveda.
Okay, now I have another shayla for this. I didn't want to ask the too many questions. Can I ask another one? Sure. If the guy had come back with his earphones when I was wearing them, and then I put it back, and he didn't find them and make it lost, then I would probably be a chayav, right?
If he came those few
Those
minutes.
few minutes. 15 minutes. I was wearing that same for 15 minutes.
I hear. I mean, then, were you in a different room than the person?
Yeah, what was in one shul? I went to a different shul. They had 5 shuls there.
I don't know.
What is the
I
word?
don't know.
No, it depends. What's the cheapest earphone? I don't know. You, Menachem would know.
$3.
What's the cheapest earphone?
Cheapest one?
Yeah.
99 cents. I don't know.
Okay, and like an intermediate. It looked like a Bainity. It didn't look like a.
$1.90.
It wasn't a 2-second, $2 cheap. $10, $15.
So, yeah, 34.
Okay. So a bacher that's there. It's not me, Aish. Bacher, $10. A lot of money. He came back from camp. It's now been his money. They're making $10 a day. These counselors. That's all they make. Not even. So for him, it's choshev. It doesn't matter who. If for him, it's choshev. It's an aveda, right? No wrong.
If it was
Even if Sheva Put is on aveda, right? You have to be Zorian even if Sheva Put of another year.
yeah, if a person wasn't the yayish of it and he wants it, then it's not hefka.
Rabbi, I have a question. Why?
I asked the Rav once about getting rid of all the aveda. He says, you can't get it around. I'll get it out. I said, what did I put up a sign? He says, better even then. We have downstairs bags and bags of people's clothes. They're left over the years. How many do you think we have? I don't know. I asked the Sheilah years ago. Before the Rav was the Rav in the shul, I asked the Sheilah.
100 bags, yeah, there.
Not 100. We have a lot of bags of people's stuff down in the basement. I don't want to throw it out.
Why are they using Ekev?
Abush. He's half the
Head.
stuff.
If I said,
He's worried about his guitar.
Yeah, and he said, Bruzio ruined his guitar. No, Steve. Could you see Steve breaking his guitar? For what reason? Unless maybe he once did something to him, you know what I'm saying? And he says, I commanded him to break his guitar. I let this guy store stuff for free for years. Gave him money to buy clothing and he's telling me I know. So I hope it's not
Like a squirrel that's going to come back to it.
he is the squirrel.
There are 2 of them.
Okay, let's wrap it up. The mitzvah of kibbud of aim is something that we see by the Rebbe in an unbelievable way. He tried as much as possible to make
When
his
did the Rebbe leave Russia? 1927?
When did the Rebbe
Rebbe left Russia.
with his father-in-law? 27, yeah.
1927. His father was arrested.
30 something,
32.
34.
His father was arrested.
last Rebbe?
No, the Rebbe's father.
The Rebbe's father, Rabbi, was arrested in 1932.
No, later, 38. Something.
38, he was already in the thing.
He was for 5 years. He was sent away for 5 years, and he passed away in 44.
44? 50?
Yeah, 44.
Oh, there's a
44.
father.
Yeah, so probably it was in Tzadik Ches, Tzadik Tes.
So, so Rebbe didn't see his father like 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw last night in the
25 years.
and the father. So
From the
Rebbe came in,
historians, they say he ate the Rebbe's heart away. The Rebbe was broken heart.
Broken heart.
they did it. They took a video from it. Came back to 70.
The Rebbe had his letters that they found. The Rebbe was begging him to give his father shoes and writing material and sound. And like you could hear the Rebbe's heart break.
Last night in the gem video, you saw a story of someone. You saw the story last night in the gem video? Yeah, it was
professor
awesome.
that
A guy.
went to Russia and he called the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, please go to visit my father's grave. And he went there.
He went with Air Force One. He was going with the president.
He walked with
Yeah,
the president, yeah.
Oh, he was
meet
one of the
Brezhnev.
Wow.
Then when he came back, the Rebbe told him, you did my
And
part.
then it was all Russia. Kazakhstan then was not Kazakhstan. Then he was going to on the border with Japan. What's the name of that big city?
Kobe.
No, the Russian city. That's
The water, no? By the water?
No, there's a city,
Uzbekistan?
there's a big Russian. That's where the Air Force One was going there. And he was going with the. No. There's a big. And he was going.
What was the story?
He was going with the president of the United States.
Who was he? Who was going?
This guy Yisrael Singer, who was working at who was the president? One of the presidents. He was going to Air Force One,
Nixon.
maybe President Ford, and he was going to meet Brezhnev. So he was working in the White House. So he asked the Rebbe if he wants anything from him. The Rebbe said he can't do the mitzvah of kibbud to visit his father's resting place. So he wants him to be a shliach. So he said, how am I gonna find your father's? So he said, go to Almaty and go to the shul. You'll find an old man, Apar Shahid, and he'll take you there.
Wow.
So how did the Rebbe like? So he said he came there, and there was and it's full of Yidden. So he sees one person and he says, "Mr. Apar Shahid," he said, "Yeah." So he said, "You're going to take me to the Rebbe's father's grave?" He said, "Who sent you?" He said, "The Rebbe sent you." The Rebbe sent me. Ah, the Rebbe sent you? Fine, I'll take it tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock in the morning, your family takes it.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And then the Rebbe wanted in the morning, and he took a picture, and he said the Rebbe was very emotional to the Rebbe. The Rebbe took that, but it was just 1 or 2 minutes. The Rebbe put it in his pocket. The Rebbe went on. He wanted to hear. He said he was in so many cities in Russia. The Rebbe knew everyone and everything. It was a pellet to him.
Mr. Lemot, Rabbi Lemot gave you from Rebbe gave the
Unbelievable cup.
his Levaya.
This year is 75 years. I'll leave for next week.
A big shluchim.
That's
A big
already.
shluchim conference.
I came, I figured I'd have right to
Huh?
A
Sheilos.
big shluchim conference. It's for the
Right. This year they're doing a beautiful thing. You can go there. And anyone that wants, you can go there. They'll put you up free of charge, and they'll give you food. And they'll live with the
These are all the speakers.
I see.
Tons of speakers here. No, tons.
If you're going to the Rebbe's father's grave, this year, Russia, they put you up there in a hotel.
When is he going to take
It's
place?
on Wednesday.
This and everything's provided as far as
Everything's provided. You gotta fly yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you gotta get yourself over there. If a bicycle, a plane, or a helicopter, you gotta get yourself there.
and don't get stuck like in the cornfield, like the last guy, the Russian guy that landed in the cornfield.
Yeah, don't get stuck somewhere.
You know, the guy that said that the pilot was flying the plane, and the co-pilot said, "Hey, let's go get some corn on the job." So he landed in a cornfield. Yeah. He wanted some corn on. He didn't know what corn on the cob was. He knew it was corn on the job.
Maybe so from the schus of kibbutz
You see that picture?
should be varachta yom.